For the first year of its existence, the iron in your blood was not iron. Hold out your hand. Turn it over. Those faint lines under your skin are carrying about 4 grams of metal, and that metal is the reason the color is red. You have probably heard where it came from. A giant star built iron in its heart, died and scattered it across space. That is the story that gets told. It is not what happened. That star did make iron, an enormous amount of it, but it kept almost every atom and it is still holding them. So the question is not where iron comes from. The question is how any of it ever reached you. The answer starts at the one place in the universe where fusion runs out of road, where a star builds something it cannot burn, and where, in a single second, it makes the thing that is inside you. Start with how little of it there is. 3 to 4 grams. Melt every iron atom in your body together, and you would get a metal cube about 8 millimeters on a side, smaller than a dice. That is the entire supply. And it is not decoration. Every one of those atoms is a working part. 2/3 of them are sitting inside your red blood cells right now, held at the center of a molecule called hemoglobin. 4 iron atoms to each one, and each iron atom is the exact place where an oxygen molecule gets picked up in your lungs and released in your muscles. Not near the place. The place. Look closer at one red blood cell, a soft, dimpled disc, packed with roughly 250 million hemoglobin molecules, 4 iron atoms each. That is about 1 billion atoms of iron inside one cell, and you are carrying 25 trillion of those cells. One detail is worth being careful about. The iron in your blood is not a shard of metal. It is an iron ion, a single charged atom, locked into a ring at the middle of a protein. Nobody is carrying filings around, but it is the same element, with the same 26 protons, that a magnet would pull at. That is also where the color comes from. Red is not a decision your body made. Red is what happens when light meets iron held in that particular ring. Smallish holds a hand up against a window, and the light comes through the edges of the fingers, and it comes out the color of iron. That atom has been doing this job for as long as you have been alive. The strange part is how much older it is than that. A star is a machine for pressing small things into bigger things. Hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, and onward. Every step gives back more energy than it costs, and that returned energy is what holds the star up against its own weight. Then it reaches iron. Iron is the end of the road. Press atoms together past this point and the reaction stops paying. It starts costing. A star can build iron. A star cannot burn it. So iron collects in the center, dead weight doing nothing while everything else keeps burning in shells around it. The strange part is how short this last stage is. A star that has lived 10 million years spends roughly its final day making the material your iron comes from. Bring that ratio down to something a person can hold. If that star had lived 80 years instead of 10 million, the part that matters would be the last 7/10 of a second. Smallish stands at the bottom of an enormous onion of light, looking up through the burning layers. The middle of it is dark and still. It is not a furnace at that point. It is a stopped clock. Here is what most people miss. That iron core does not get thrown outward. It falls. When it passes about 1.5 times the mass of the sun, the pressure holding it up fails. The whole thing collapses inward in less than a second. The temperature crosses 7 billion degrees. At that heat, iron nuclei are torn back apart into the pieces they were built from. Protons and electrons are crushed together into neutrons. The core does not become debris. It becomes a neutron star. A star spends 10 million years building an iron heart of close to 500,000 Earths, and then keeps almost all of it. Crushed down into something roughly the size of a city, still sitting out there somewhere in the sky above you. That is the part that reframes everything. The iron a giant star made is not in you. It never left home. So the popular version is not wrong about the explosion. It is wrong about the address. Smallish looks up at one small, hard point of light, and somewhere behind it is a mountain of iron that will never be used for anything again. Yours is being used. Right now. Between this breath and the next one. So where did yours come from? In the seconds around that collapse, a shock wave tears outward through the layers sitting above the dying core. Those layers get hot enough to build new atoms in the time it takes to blink. And what they build is not iron. It is nickel. Radioactive nickel, unstable from the moment it exists. That nickel is thrown clear before it has any chance to settle. Then, out in open space, already traveling, it begins to change. Half of it turns to cobalt within 6 days. The cobalt turns to iron over the following couple of months. The haunting part is what that means. The glow that would have hung in the sky for months after that explosion was not the explosion itself. It was your blood being finished. And roughly half the iron around us did not come from a giant star at all. It came from a white dwarf, the cooled, burnt-out core of a much smaller star, sitting dead for billions of years, pulling matter off a neighbor until it detonated. A star that had already died once and then went off anyway. None of this has to be taken on trust. There is a layer of the Pacific seafloor holding iron that is still faintly radioactive, laid down between 1 and 3 million years ago. It cannot be original to Earth. Earth is far too old for it to have survived. It fell out of the sky from a supernova close enough to reach us, while our ancestors were already walking around up here. Smallish crouches at the edge of dark water, turning one small grain over in a palm. Turn your wrist over again. Some of what is in there arrived the same way, just a great deal earlier. So the iron in you was made in about a second, in the outer layers of a star that was busy destroying itself. It arrived as something else entirely. Then it drifted for billions of years before there was an Earth here to catch it. And then your body did something with it that is easy to miss. It refuses to spend it. You need about 25 milligrams of iron a day to keep building red blood cells. You absorb 1, maybe 2, out of everything you eat. The rest is pulled back out of red blood cells that have just reached the end of their 120 days and handed straight back to the bone marrow. Over 90% of it is recycled. The same atoms, again and again. So the iron in you today is mostly the iron that was in you years ago. It has already passed through thousands of cells. It does not leave. It changes jobs. It is worth being honest about the limits here. Nobody can point at a single atom in your blood and name the star. Iron carries no signature. Roughly half of it came from exploding white dwarfs, and roughly half from collapsing giants. And that split is still being argued over in the literature. What is not argued over is that all of it is older than the sun. The strange part is not that you are carrying something ancient. It is that you are keeping it. 4 grams, a cube smaller than a dice, made once in 1 second long before the sun existed, and carried here across a distance that has no useful comparison. Somewhere out there a star is still holding its own iron and cannot use it. Yours is in your hands, working right now. If you want more of this kind of thinking, subscribe. There is a great deal more buried in the small questions about a very large universe.